it's like that thing once you start recording, right? Everything's recorded and everyone gets nervous and tensed up.
Yeah.
And that's that's like a whole podcast topic. I don't know. It's like that's, especially if you're shooting a documentary, that's your whole job, is like trying to make people feel comfortable. If you can nail that, you can nail a documentary story.
Yeah.
Right there, basically. Like I work with one filmmaker who partners with his wife, and basically she just has this gorgeous smile that basically just calms and relaxes everyone.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Like a superpower.
yeah. Yeah. Like anyone comes in and they're just like, and she's like, don't worry, just come here, and like does all these things. And I'm just like, wow, really, really professional.
I want to talk about the short film act. You know what? Okay. You know what? Hey, how you doing? Michael Costa, photographer based in Mississauga, whatever. Okay, let me do the intro differently. Hold on. I was trying to go really quickly into that.
No, yeah, the intro is like the biggest part.
Hey guys, how you doing? Michael Costa here, and this is the My Creative Friends podcast, where one or two creative friends join me, and we just talk about creativity, life, and just wherever the flow really takes us. Today I have Avery. Welcome to the show.
I'm actually really excited to be here, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. You filmed a few. Is this the last one you're filming for now, or?
Probably last one. I'm shooting one next week as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm so stoked to be on here. I haven't been on a podcast in literally like 8 years.
I'm stoked to have you, man. Because like the cool thing about all of these shows is that everyone brings something different, and I want to talk to you a lot about video.
Yeah. There's, you know what? There's so many differences between photography and film. That's the thing. Like, this is always a topic that I've always talked about with people, especially photographers, just because a lot of photographers, you know, end up getting uninspired or bored, or even, and then they just want to join something bigger, like film, right?
Yeah.
I know a few people right now who are doing it, right? We've all done it. Like, you know, you get a camera, and now that DSLRs are a thing, or mirrorless cameras, you could film 4K videos, right? The new 1DX Mark III, if you have enough money, that shoots raw video, like a cinema camera style, like.
But you can get an iPhone Pro 11 Pro, and you can get the Rode mic for the mobile too. Like if you're starting up, you can make it work.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've seen a lot of videos, or even short films for that matter, that were shot on iPhones. You know, for the documentary that I shot last year that you were interviewed in, we were shooting on cinema cameras that were like worth $20,000. But for the days where, you know, it was just me shooting, because some days I just needed that extra B-roll, and I didn't want to drag all that gear and all the cases out with me. I just shot on a Sony, right? Now, you know, obviously, like, I didn't want to do that, but as long as you have a camera, that's what matters.
And that Sony is the A7 III, right?
Yeah.
More than capable, anyways.
Oh yeah, it's a terrific camera. I'll be honest, I've only really started using it recently. I had it for just over a year now. But I've been using it a lot more recently, and I'm loving it. One thing I have to do though, which I've noticed a lot of filmmakers are doing, is they test out every aspect of the camera.
Okay.
Right? And that's where photography and film become really, really separated, because photographers, for the most part, and I'm not bashing them in any way, you know, they just take a photo in RAW, change everything, right? Because they can do that.
Yeah.
But filmmakers are like this really, they're this group of people who, like, everything has to be perfect in camera before it goes to post. There's always that line that you may have heard of, is like, fix it in post. Yeah. And everyone always makes a joke about it, but I've heard people say it, and that scares me. But that's the, you know, it's because you could shoot RAW on photos, not shoot RAW on film. Yeah. There's so many aspects.
Well, even like even the whole fix it in post, I've heard that a lot in photography in regards to like, oh, like that thing's in the shot, I'll just heal it out. With video, it's like, okay, I'll just fix it in post, keyframe, next second, keyframe, next frame. Like, it's not in every aspect you have to get it right. That's camera, out of camera.
That's the whole thing about film too, is that the sensor megapixel size is usually lower than a photography camera.
Okay. Or
even if it's at the same, let's say I have like a 20 megapixel camera, or even a 24 megapixel camera, you know, compared with a mirrorless.
Right.
This is where filmmakers get nitpicky. So you have to look in at the facts that how big is the sensor generally, right? Doesn't mean just because it's Super 35 doesn't mean it's full Super 35 or whatnot. And when you shoot 4K video, you're not using up all that sensor. You're only using a certain percentage of that sensor. So there's so, like, I'm not a technical person. I like just taking photos and doing things. But that's where filmmakers get nitpicky. Right. But now, like, Canon cameras, well, all a whole bunch of cinema cameras, but they're offering RAW shooting now.
I heard there's a new Nikon mirrorless that is the first full frame mirrorless camera to have raw video.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah,
you know, like that. The fact that they're doing that is just it's unbelievable. Like, in all fairness, that doesn't appeal to me as much just because it's Nikon. They're not known for video.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't seen footage, or I haven't seen anything about it, heard anything about it since. I don't know if it's good, but it's just crazy that they're doing that.
I heard, you know what, I saw I forgot his last name. He's Matty. He hangs out with Peter McKinnon a lot, and he did a review on it. And there's one fact about it that was crazy. He's like, I've been recording for 2 minutes and ate up 5 gigs of storage.
Oh man, that's
so insane. Like, you need to have a massive card or you're shooting short bits.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's the thing, because we just shot a bunch of short dramatic films in the fall. All of them had pretty high budgets. Like, I mean, it was about 8,000, right? And one of the productions that I was on, it was probably the least roles that I had, but a very important one was DIT. Have you heard of it?
DIT, no.
So basically, your job and your only job is to have the CFast cards.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, CFast cards are just like bigger SD cards.
Yeah, like have you ever seen a 5D Mark II? Mark 1 too.
They have transfer speeds that are just way crazier than SD cards.
Yeah.
And now these mirrorless cameras are just switching to them. Maybe not mirrorless, but other cameras are.
Yeah.
But we had CFast cards, and I had to, log all the cards. I had to back them up, make sure every single frame was perfect. Like, there was nothing. There's software to do that. You don't have to look through every single frame, but there's software that makes sure every frame is like perfect, right? Like, that's where filmmakers get nitpicky, right? Again, it's just every frame. But I saw your short film.
We aspire. As photographers, we aspire to capture, to share, to inspire.
Aspire.
Oh, okay.
Were you shooting that on the A7?
Majority of it's A7. The opening shot and the ending shot are on an A7 III.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You have an A7 III?
I don't.
Oh, no. Okay. I found that film so interesting because I've been so unmotivated recently, you know, and that's the whole point of photography, is finding motivation to do something, right?
Right.
Even if you have what other people see as good content, it's funny how artists can look at something and be like, no, it's not that great, right? Or I don't know if that makes sense, like for you as an artist too, but just the other day, like, I was editing something and I just went, nah, like I can't edit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if I'm changing the subject too fast.
No. Just go with the flow, man.
But that's what I found so relatable to that project, right? Is that you shot that it's so easy to get uninspired.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if you have clients who,
Sometimes you take a gig and it's either it's the client themselves, sometimes it's just the subject matter, sometimes it's a lot of things. It's hard to get in it. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to get into a groove sometimes because there's tight deadlines. You need to get into that groove and just edit for 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, you see, that's why I don't want to do weddings. Only as a second shooter.
Weddings suck.
Weddings are really hard, like, because you have to guarantee the client like 600 photos or something.
Oh my God. Let me tell you this. So I think I was telling you before we started recording, I shot a wedding with Jess. Shout out Jess. And she was like, "Oh, how many photos do you end up with?" I'm like, "Well,"
the client asked that?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is before I sent her the photos and stuff. Idiot me. I'm like, "Yeah, like this is how many I got." It was like 1,200. I took like 1,200 photos, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And so I sent her 700 photos. That's a lot of photos.
Yeah, that's
man.
a lot.
Like that's a lot.
And
she was like, "Well, where's the other 700? Or sorry, the other 500 photos?" I'm like, "You like." A lot of those are blurry. A lot of those are like duplicates essentially, but one's just better than the other. Like you have to understand that like in order for me to get the right shots for you, I need to take a bunch of photos of the same thing in order to get it right.
Yeah.
And like that happens a lot, and I hear about it a lot with models too. They'll be like, we've been shooting for hours, and how come you only gave me 10 photos, right? And like it hasn't happened to me, but I've heard it through a lot of like obviously the community, a lot of friends. And it's like people just don't understand,
Yeah, I have a few models who are actually really close friends of mine now, and that having friends in this industry is amazing, but it's also painful. And the reason is because maybe it's just me, but I go out shooting with a few friends, but now you're so relaxed.
Yeah,
you're so relaxed. You're chilling, right? Hell, you may even get a few drinks, depending, right? It doesn't matter, but But then you only take like, I don't know, like for example, me and my friend Kiara, I haven't shot with her in a while, but Kiara she could really vouch for this, but we would always shoot and it would be a chill vibe. And that's the best part about it. But then, I edit it, I give her a handful, and then she's like, is there any more? I'm like, well, it was only like chill photography.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with Phoenix.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Is
Phoenix, but it goes both ways more often. It's that me and Phoenix, we chill, shoot, chill. And then we had like other plans, but then we're just like, nah, let's just keep chilling.
Okay.
But obviously as the model, and I don't blame them for this, you think you took more.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I always I remember when I first started shooting and I met up with you guys at dead of night, I was always the guy going like just holding the shutter.
Machine gun?
Yeah. Because I just wanted every angle I could get.
Yeah.
Because you never know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
But now I think that personally is what makes you a great photographer, or a characteristic of being a great photographer is knowing when you got what you want.
Yeah. It's like, here's the thing. There's something that I've heard a few times, which is, people talk about the art of photography being lost with the transition into digital, right? Because you were limited in film, you had a limited amount of shots that you could take.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you wait and you get the right shot. And then those kind of people typically make fun of digital shooters, saying, you guys just shoot a bunch of photos and you just spray and pray, kind of like what you're talking about. I think there's an in between that I'd like to think that we practice, which is you shoot until you get the shot, and that's just it. Like, you, at the end of the day, it's a strength of the DSLR, it's a strength of the mirrorless camera, the digital cameras. It's the strength of it. You can shoot as much as you want. Now, like you said, you got to shoot. When you have the shot, and play with the equipment you got. If you can shoot until you have the shot, then that's something. If it's just spraying and praying, that's different. But
I totally agree, because that, that's where comparing cinematography to photography comes in, because in the film days, everyone shooting film was super nitpicky.
Okay.
Like, especially in cinematography, but it's also the same in photography. You got to get everything before you take the shot, because you could only edit so much, with a film strip or whatever in a dark room, right? I don't know how editing film works, but I just know it's not fun.
Yeah.
Because, dodge and burning, like, I'm pretty sure that means, like, Yeah, that just does not seem
Probably like
possible.
literally burning. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You just put a match to a film strip and just everything. Just,
And Johnny's there with like some powder, just ready to put out the fire.
I learned through digital, but when I shot film, I started learning how to appreciate each shot, right? Because there's so much to literally teach you because you can't see your image until it's developed, right? So you have to understand how much light's coming in, right? You have to find ways to measure light with a light meter. You know, I always wondered, like, how do people shoot sports back in the day? Like, imagine
No in-body stabilization.
yeah, literally.
You have these lenses like this.
Like same when photography was first invented, to take a portrait, people would have to sit there for 20 minutes or something like that.
Insane. Yeah.
It's like, what? Why do you what? How do you sit there for that long? Right?
I don't know. Maybe they're getting painted before, and they're like, "This is quicker."
Yeah, fair. That's actually, you know what? That's a good point. Or even the ones with the babies.
Oh my god! How do you get the babies?
Yeah, you have the babies there, but that must, I don't know. That must have been later on, or I don't know. There's some
Maybe they're dead. Maybe it's just dead babies. Maybe.
taxidermists or what? Like it's just.
It's not even their babies. It's
Yeah.
like they hold on to dead babies. And,
Oh my god!
you know how fucked up it was back then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine growing up and just thinking, you know, that wasn't you in that photo. Recently, I watched a film where the person who was younger, and the character and that person grew older, right? But it was played by the same person.
Boyhood. Love that movie.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the one.
But it wasn't that. But
Okay.
even like this goes for photographers and whatnot. You can never watch people talk in their craft, like Peter McKinnon or Casey Neistat or someone, and have them talk about their craft because they just do it naturally and they will never be able to explain those parts. Does that make sense?
It's harder to break it down.
Yeah. Like, let's say someone who's super story driven, right? They could always talk about, I do, I do this. I make sure I do this. What's the character's motives?
Yeah.
Always follow that. But then there's something else to it that they will never be able to
explain. Yeah.
Whether it's because they just don't want to or they just can't because they just do it so well, right? Because I don't know about you, but that happens to me. Some people, I'm usually very open with how I do things, but people ask me, how do you do things? And I'm just like, I just do this. But in my head, I'm just like, I honestly, like, those are things I do.
Yeah.
But those are things that I just, there's other things that I just don't know how to explain. But does that make sense?
It makes sense, but like the thing that you can't explain is just your voice, your vision. Like at the end of the day, that's the part you can't.
Yeah. I just worked with a client who was super genuine, straight to the point, and it was for his 12-year-old son's music video.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I don't really listen to metal too much, but he's
12-year-old metal?
Yeah.
What?
12-year-old metal. Let me tell you, this kid can literally rip it on the guitar. Like it's crazy.
That is, what's his name?
His username on Instagram is treble08.
Treble, hit him up.
You know what? Like, he's on some Spotify playlists too.
Yeah.
Like, they feature
No way.
him. Yeah. And I believe one of his first songs got up to 100,000 streams.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Man.
Like, anyways, I did the video, and his representative, which was his dad mainly, was basically, saying, listen, I love your work. I want to work with you. What's your rate? And if it works for me, that works.
Yeah.
So that's it's very important to have that relationship with the clients because they build the trust, right?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So for clients that you've had for a while, right? Long-term clients.
Yeah.
Do you have any clients where you've been shooting? It's like the same thing. You come in a few months, you shoot the same. It's a similar thing, and you come back another few months, a similar kind of thing. It's just for refresh content.
I haven't had that yet. Okay. I don't think,
because that's one question I've had recently. Obviously, I'm a growing photographer, getting used to the business side of it as well. And I get to this point now where I'm thinking, like, if you're shooting the same thing, it's this client, and you've agreed on a rate when you started, and you've been doing that. Do you get to a point, do you think, where you go, my work is worth more. Hey, I've been charging you this much. It's the same work, but I'm going to increase my rate for you? Or do you say, hey, you're loyal, thank you, I'm going to keep the rate where it is?
Oh, that's a really hard question.
I know.
And
That's
you
why
know
I
what?
asked.
I I'll be honest. I'm still working on my packages.
Mhm.
I actually just watched your video on that.
Oh, really? The
day.
rates?
Yeah. And I really love the tier system.
Oh, yeah?
It helps a lot. But the reality of it is that first off, when you're doing your rates, is that you should have a basic life standard.
Mhm.
You know, don't never do it for free unless you're gaining a profit off it, like if it's a brand or something.
Yeah.
Right? Always give yourself minimum wage too. And worst case, if it's a friend or someone, ask them to buy you dinner or something, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. For people who know what they want, they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? That, like, and having that trust, you know, but if you have that same client and you keep upping, downing, or just very staggering, like you said in
Yeah.
your video, and people did ask you for a breakdown, that's not a fun conversation.
Yeah,
I
because
can
then maybe
imagine.
you do a breakdown. They're like, okay, can you break down the last one before that then? Because this doesn't add up, right?
Mhm. That's one thing I try and really visualize for clients is that, and it's a very important aspect of this job, is that if I'm in talks with a client right now and they want a video and I'm like, sure, this is my rate, but if you want to do this, if you have this idea in your mind, these are my rates, but I recommend we rent the lights, right? I recommend we do this. I recommend we rent the lights. But if you don't want to rent the lights, I suggest going into a different space where there's no like overhead lights, but
Yeah.
there's natural light,
Yeah.
right? Worst case, right? Give them the options so they know that you know what you're talking about and you're not trying to rip them off, right? Because there's, unfortunately, like there's a lot of, I don't know anyone personally, but I've heard cases and I've seen some cases, but there's, obviously photographers who don't have the best intentions, and it's unfortunate because I feel like there's like a lack of trust, right? Like there's like, how like mechanics, like a lot of people look at mechanics as like,
They're like, does my spark plug really need to be changed?
yeah. Like a lot of people kind of see photographers that way in a weird aspect, and I find it so weird because we actually pay a lot of money for our gear. I'm not saying mechanics don't. I'm not saying all mechanics are.
Yeah, well, they have a shop.
Yeah.
They have a lot of things.
Yeah, they have a space, right? But
Yeah.
And employees. But like a lot of people when they come up to photographers, they just expect it to be $50, or else they'll just take their phones,
Yeah.
right? And the sad part about that is that a lot of those people genuinely believe there's no difference in quality. Like I've had people who just say,
Why don't I just take a picture on my phone?
I'm like, well,
I'm of the thinking, and this applies to mechanics, this applies to anyone providing professional service. If you came to me and you've asked me to provide a service, you're coming to me for my professional opinion at the same time. So if I'm saying that we need this, that this needs to change, it's because that's what needs to happen in order for me to get the results that you asked me for, right?
You know what? You're totally right about that, because there's so many people who are so talented, right? Just being a photographer is a lot of work, right? To really nail it down.
Yeah.
If you know how to nail it down, like it's an ongoing learning process. I think there's more opportunity in film, but people are really harsh in film. Like I think, like again, they're nitpicky. So if you're a photographer who tends to show up late, God help you in film.
Yeah, that's not
Like,
going to work.
It's if you're on time, you're late in film, because people are spending so much money, on like these feature length films with millions of dollars being spent.
Yeah.
There's easily $500,000 a day being spent on these productions. If you're late, like they'll probably kick you off. They'll probably just send you home.
Well, that's the interesting thing too, right? Well, like probably one of the biggest differences between having a photography business and being professionally involved in film is, in one, you're a one-man show, and the other one, you're a member of the team. And so you're relied upon,
Yeah.
right? So that makes complete sense to me. It's like showing up. It's like being part of a soccer team. like a pro soccer team,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
show up 20 minutes late. Guess what? You're sitting, or you're not even
Yeah.
dressing. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I want to get into something here. I know we're going to close off the show in a second, but something I like to do is called behind the snap. I'm going to show you some photos I really like of yours, and I just want you to give me a little context behind it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
A little bit.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect.
Well, I'm doing it. Okay, here we go. First one, right here.
Oh, this photo right here. So this photo was actually shot across the street from here.
Oh, I thought you meant you shot it from across the street.
Oh, no.
Like, what?
No. This photo, I'll be honest, was heavily inspired by Brandon Wolfel. I don't really take
I get it with the colors.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he actually has like a mirror shot
Does
like
he?
this. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's way better. But I was just looking for inspiration, and I was looking at I just wanted to try a bunch of a few ideas,
Mm-hmm.
even if it were mine or not, and that was one of them. And that's my friend Sarah Delano.
Okay.
She's a production designer mainly. She
okay.
likes art directing and whatnot for film. Basically, what they do is they dress sets, wardrobe, everything that's like part of the set. And then this shot here, it was shot during sunset in the summer in August, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just before blue hour, if not blue hour. And
What's the orange? What's going on
so
here?
the bokeh's sparkling. What are those called? Sparklers?
Yeah, sparklers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And she had a mirror with her, and she just held it up.
Move on to the next one.
Sure. Oh, this one with Phoenix.
I've always loved this photo.
Yeah, this one I actually printed it out and
Really?
went to an art showcase.
That's it.
But this one I believe I was out with Ishkan.
Yeah. Super talented guy.
Yeah,
Shout out.
he's really cool. Myself, and Phoenix just went out. We were just chilling, and this was in front of a sign in the business district somewhere, like some big office building.
Okay.
If you live downtown anywhere, I'm sure there's an office building with a electronic sign like that. I don't know if it was this one or it was another one, but security didn't like us taking photos of it.
They don't
No,
like that at all anywhere in Toronto.
no, it's like
Sucks.
you're not even like fully you're not even in the building. You're outside the building,
Yeah.
downtown. It's like, and they're like, no, you can't take photos. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's
well.
our property. No, it's the city. Like,
Yeah,
relax.
yeah.
Okay.
That was shot with Prism on the side.
Okay.
too, yeah, so that
Yeah.
that helps with the reflectiveness.
Yeah, it's Phoenix, obviously.
And his eyebrow
His
game.
eyebrow
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
on point.
It's funny at this point now. Whenever I shoot with him, I just tell him, "Give me your eyebrows,"
Oh, really? Yeah.
because those are definitely killer.
Yeah. All right, last one. Ready?
Oh my gosh, this one. Oh my.
I love the
gosh.
detail, man. Like, it's,
This one. Oh wow. That's
I'm struggling to read your reaction.
yeah.
on this.
This was taken from a long time ago.
Yeah, I went back a little bit.
Wow. This was Anna.
Okay.
She's since moved to the U.S. I've been meaning to contact her. I wonder how she's doing, but she was one of the first models that I really connected with.
Okay.
She was really cool. Always had this wardrobe that like was just different every day. Right?
Begged
Just,
to be captured.
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And one day we went out. It was sunny, and I can't remember which camera this was shot on. I'd have to check it. I still have the photos, but it was either my T5i or the A7, the original A7.
Oh man.
Just A7, not one. It was the A7 one, I guess.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, wow. I didn't even realize how beautiful that image is. It's like the tones are
It's
there.
so nice, man. Like the shadows. Where is this? This is Toronto, obviously.
This is Toronto. I can't say specifically, but
Yeah.
we were shooting.
But is this like a dark alley? And like she creeped in
I can't
behind
even
and
remember.
like, cause it's so like dark behind her, which plays really nice with the shadows on the side of the
Can I
face.
see
And
it closer?
yeah, man.
I remember. So we were shooting in a part of Toronto where it used to be factories.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're like for the most part condos or just abandoned and waiting to become condos. And basically, we went along some paths and whatnot. But I think what happened was we were trying to get into this warehouse, and I think she went in, and she was on the other side, and she.
Okay.
I've been in the warehouse before. It's not fun. It's pretty
No?
sketchy, but
And totally legal.
yeah, totally legal.
Yeah.
That's all natural light too, and
That's
then I just
awesome.
brighten it up.
That's the way to get started. Is just shoot with the natural light. Go out with your buddies at night in the daytime, especially night is nice because you when you're getting started, you have some like shitty crop sensor camera, and you're like really got to find the light and light properly and not boost to 3200 ISO. And
You know, that's a tip. That's a really quick tip to make, because if you buy Canon Rebel, those are so easy to buy. But Canon's so smart for selling them, because if you buy them, it makes you want to buy, like if you get serious about photography, you buy a higher end Canon camera. But those cameras are so overpriced for what they offer you.
Are they more overpriced than? Is Sony overpriced?
No. I think you could buy a decent Sony camera for a good price, as long as you're willing to spend it and get the features.
Is the A7 III worth it brand new?
Yeah,
I think so too. I was surprised with the launch price. It was $2,500 launch price.
Yeah,
or was that
it
US?
like $2,900 with taxes in.
Yeah, right.
for
USD
Canadian.
was 25.
Yeah. But USD was $2,000.
Was it?
Yeah, $2,000.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think we're going to cap it off here. Thank you again for joining me.
No, thank you. This is awesome.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
have me on
back
again if you want. But.
100%. Well, this has been the My Creative Friends podcast. Again, we had Avery here. Go check him out. I'll have a little banner come across here, and it has his Instagram and all that stuff. So, yeah. Well, hopefully, where I went here matches up with where you're holding down. Otherwise, because that happened in the first one, I was like here, and then Jarek was like here. I'm like, no, man, it's not there.
Just keyframe it down.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
All right. Well, on that, we're gonna leave you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and
thank you. Cheers.
See you next time.